Hello, I'm Tanner. After finishing Jonah Berger's Contagious, I thought I was in the clear for talking about Berger's steps ever again, but boy was I wrong. It turns out that they can be applied to just about anything, and one such source that steps are frequently applied to is activism. Activism relates to actions or movements taken to elicit strong social change. In each instance of activism, there's a central idea connected to the action that takes place. The #MeToo movement, for example, is linked to the opposition of sexual assault. But even with an idea, an activist movement only gains momentum if it effectively expresses said idea. The reason #MeToo works is because it focuses on sexual assault victims and enables them to share their stories while eliciting emotional responses of sympathy towards them. It's a simple practice, but it shares a powerful idea on a global scale. However, making ideas such as #MeToo catch on is much easier said than done. There are so many ideas shared in this age of rapid communication that it becomes difficult to select movements of remarkable value. So for this video project, I've settled on two noteworthy movements in American history: Keep America Beautiful and the #Enough National School Walkout. They're completely different ideas, but both challenge particularly difficult problems. Let me tell you all about it. In the spring of 2018, I was assigned to write an English paper analyzing a public service announcement of my choice. The PSA I chose to research was the Keep America Beautiful Crying Indian campaign. I was assigned to discuss the PSA's appeal in regards to its imagery, setting, and emotions. But this time, I'm going to analyze the way steps and other factors play a role in the campaign's effectiveness. But before I do so, let's talk a little about Keep America Beautiful. Keep America Beautiful is a non-profit organization dedicated to pollution prevention and environmental protection, and it's composed of corporate leaders, volunteers, and affiliates striving to protect the natural environment. They work towards this goal through local cleanups, litter research, and by teaching proper recycling methods. But KAB's course never would have blossomed if it hadn't been for one crucial factor: advertising. Social media is a noteworthy venue for activism to grow on, but in the mid-20th century, there was no social media, so KAB's only method of public communication was through advertising. It produced several campaigns over the years, but the most famous was the Crying Indian campaign from 1971. The Crying Indian focuses on a Native American traveling across the country and encountering pollution wherever he goes. The premise of each PSA varies, but they each conclude with a single tear from the Indian, accompanied by the grim reminder, "People start pollution. People can stop it." There are several factors that can be attributed to the Crying Indian's success. For one, it tells a powerful albeit distorted story that reveals individuals are the cause for the disappearing natural environment. For another, it correlated strongly with related public movements such as the ratification of Earth Day and the Native American protests of the 1970s. And for another, it triggers a high arousal response of guilt or sympathy through the Indian's single, dignified tear. But the Crying Indian has a major flaw. It pinpoints the source of pollution, but it offers no solutions other than saying, "Please contact Keep America Beautiful." Doing so would most likely result in the organization asking for money and thus driving away volunteers. But despite this flaw, KAB's Crying Indian shows that even without social media, a single idea can be made to resonate with Americans for years to come. A few days before I turned in my Keep America Beautiful PSA, I was sitting in class when a student leader walked into the classroom and invited students to step outside with her. She explained it was part of a national student walkout against school shootings, but when she invited me, I refused. I refused because protesting against gun violence to me doesn't solve anything. In fact, Mass shootings actually worsened this year, increasing from 340 incidents in 2018 to approximately 360 in 2019. But it's not fair for me to say that the event known as the hashtag National Student Walkout contributed to this shooting spike. What it did, though, was unite young and old alike for a peaceful cause on an unprecedented scale. Hashtag Enough was a nationwide walkout organized by the Women's March Empower student group on March 14, 2018, a full month after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. For 17 minutes after 10 o'clock, students and faculty were expected to march outside their classrooms and protest the government's inability to deal with gun violence in recent years. Though the methods of practice differed, from moments of silence to all-out marches on the White House, the protests were evident that students wanted gun violence to cease. Just like Keep America Beautiful, hashtag Enough utilizes steps to effective degrees. It has a defined social currency of students wary of the dangers of shootings, both on and off of social media. It brings practical awareness to violence that could spiral out of control if left unchecked. And it elicits high arousal emotions of frustration and defiance, which enables students who share similar feelings to go out and protest. However, I would argue that hashtag Enough's public presence is also its greatest weakness. It faces a similar problem to anti-drug PSAs. Just as anti-drug PSAs may inspire youths to try rather than avoid drugs, shooting protests may incite fear rather than empowerment. It might make students more anxious about going to school, or it might make parents overprotective of their kids. And though I personally disagree with the movement, I must admire the courage and unity of the participants who boldly announced to Congress and to the world, enough is enough. You know, I learned something today about activism. It takes effort to hatch an idea, but a great deal more to make people care about it. In a world full of ideas, it becomes tricky to find those that stand out and attempt to solve problems. Some problems, like pollution and school shootings, can't be solved completely, but as Keep America Beautiful and hashtag Enough have proven, something can be done about them. And that's what activism is, taking ideas and putting them into effect, even if solving the problem is impossible or if others disagree. As the late Dr. Seuss once said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not.